In December of 1872, a merchant ship was discovered drifting alone in the Atlantic Ocean. At first glance, there was nothing remarkable about her condition. Her sails were partially raised. Her hull was sound. She appeared seaworthy. But as another vessel drew closer, something became clear. No one was on board. The ship was the Mary Celeste. She had departed New York on November 7th, bound for Genoa, Italy, carrying a cargo of industrial alcohol. On board were Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and 7 experienced crew members. Briggs was considered a capable and cautious captain. The crew were seasoned sailors. This was not a reckless voyage. The last confirmed sighting of the Mary Celeste was on November 25th, near the Azores. After that, she vanished. 10 days later, on December 4th, the British brig Dei Gratia spotted her drifting aimlessly in open water. When sailors boarded the ship, they found an unsettling scene. The Mary Celeste was not damaged. There were no signs of struggle, no blood, no indication of violence. Her cargo of more than 1,700 barrels of alcohol was largely intact. Food supplies were sufficient. Personal belongings were undisturbed. The captain's clothes were neatly folded. In the galley, a meal appeared to have been prepared, but never eaten. The ship's log was found open and carefully maintained. Its final entry was dated November 25th. It recorded calm conditions and no emergencies. Then, abruptly, the record ended. One detail immediately stood out. The ship's lifeboat was missing. Everything else suggested order. The navigation instruments were present. The cargo was secure. The vessel itself was still capable of sailing, which raised an uncomfortable question. Why would an entire crew abandon a stable ship in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean? Investigations later ruled out several popular explanations. There was no evidence of piracy. Nothing had been stolen. No damage suggested an attack. There was no sign of mutiny. Captain Briggs had no known conflicts with his crew. There was no indication of a violent struggle. Instead, attention turned to the cargo. Industrial alcohol produces fumes, and some barrels were later found to be leaking. One theory suggests the crew may have feared an explosion, possibly after hearing or sensing a pressure release. If so, they may have lowered the lifeboat, intending to remain nearby until the danger passed. However, something went wrong. The lifeboat was small. The Atlantic is unpredictable. A sudden shift in weather or current could have pulled the boat away from the ship. If that happened, the Mary Celeste would have continued drifting on without them. Another possibility involves navigational uncertainty. The ship's last log entry placed her closer to land than she actually was. A miscalculation could have made the situation feel more urgent than it truly was. But none of these explanations fully account for every detail. No distress signal was ever sent. No lifeboat was ever found. No bodies were ever recovered. The Mary Celeste herself was eventually brought into port and returned to service, sailing for years afterward. Yet her story refused to fade. Over time, rumours and fictional embellishments transformed a quiet maritime mystery into something far more dramatic than the evidence supports. But the truth is more unsettling in its restraint. An experienced captain, a competent crew, a ship that did not fail. And yet 10 people disappeared without leaving a clear reason behind. What is certain is this: the Mary Celeste was found intact, but her crew, for unknown reasons, was never seen again.